What's up, YouTube family? Welcome to my channel, and for those who've been here before, welcome back. Today I want to go through some sketchbooks I have. Like, this is kind of the current sketchbook. This has got the sketchbook before, and the reason why I want to show these two sketchbooks is I would say these are the first two sketchbooks that I've I would say used properly as sketchbooks. I had sketchbooks in the past, but I would always like kind of just draw complete pictures in them. But these two sketchbooks are kind of my first sketchbooks where I really kind of dedicated them to just only purely getting better, right? Getting better at drawing, right? And so this sketchbook, real quick, excuse me, this sketchbook, I can flip it through it really quick, right? But it's just trying to get down the quick flow and gesture of a pose of a figure, right? Just quickly. Just the idea. I really like this one. I like how that one came out. Right, so not too much worried about proportion here. It's just like, can I quickly get it down in, a few, like a minute or two. I don't think 2 minutes, like a minute. It's like super fast and you get it down. Right now, this sketchbook, I'm doing this at first, and then I put another layer on it, and it just kind of keeps stacking layers, right? But I think I got a lot of growth from this, doing this. So as it comes to, then I started adding other stuff in, like, okay, now I need to make sure my figures are grounded, right? I want them to have some balance. And then also started adding some landmarks, like the pit of the neck here, the belly button, the bottom of the rib cage, this in the back. Can't think of the name right now, but I'm still trying to get that overall flow, and also thinking about balance and thinking a little bit more about proportion here as well than I was in the very beginning, but still just trying to get the pose down really quick. You're not spending a lot of time. This is about repetition and being, I guess, exposed to it. What you're learning, like, reinforces it. Here, thinking about the whole bean idea. I'm kind of drawing this. This is kind of the bean that I use. Here, it's that bean. That one. So, and then also here, I started, adding, the contour, the cross contour lines to kind of show which way the form is curving around the body. Think about that being ideal. But just getting these things down super quick. And here I kind of get into the, thinking about them. It's a cube. So the upper torso is its own cube, and then the pelvis is its own little cube area. And sometimes I would think about it as a beam within this, right? So it's just stacking what you learned on top of each other, right? And so this I'd say this is kind of the sketchbook is where me learning more about how to use the sketchbook, I guess. And then here, these are kind of, spend a little bit more time on them, but not a whole lot because I add some value to them, right? Add some shading. And so here I do like let me see, this is probably like a 5 value system. So I'm using like white would be the lightest, and then you got the darkest, and then 3 steps in between. So 5 shades. And here I get more graphic, so it's only 3. So you got white, gray, and black. And here's just kind of some anatomy study. So just kind of copying this from a book. And so now I have the sketchbook that has all the different names of these body parts. All the Latin names. Right, but this is that sketchbook. Now move to this one. Now this sketchbook is a lot different from that sketchbook, right? This is kind of the sketchbook I'm working on now, and this one is kind of my sketchbook of where I just kind of practice. I just open it up and draw, and whatever I feel like kind of practicing, I practice it in a sketchbook. But it's kind of mainly just 3 things that I practice in here. Obviously drawing the figure quickly, and then here I also kind of get into some perspective as well. And then also kind of with that perspective, kind of drawing the figure in the environment. And then also, I've done a couple of workshops. So I started this sketchbook. I did not have my proper material for a workshop that I went to. I think I left my pad at home, or I grabbed one that had already had I had already filled up, and so I had this sketchbook in the car, and I had some pens, and I decided to use this brush pen to do the workshop. Later on I found the pencil, and I did a couple drawings in pencil, right? Wish I would just did it in pen. Now this is smearing over here. But then this time, I did another workshop, with the brush pen, because I liked how the last one came out, and I just wanted to do a few poses with the brush pen, but I also did some pencil drawings from this particular workshop on big paper. But then this sketchbook changes into what I mostly use it for, and it's just kind of drawing and practicing just the stuff that I'm trying to get better at, just different things, right? And so this one, it's a lot of quick sketches when I'm kind of out in town. So like these are kind of quick sketches of people I've seen out in town. Then some of them are just kind of drawn from my imagination. This is like sketching at a restaurant, and then I wanted to sketch the, kind of the whole perspective of the restaurant. Same thing here. I was sitting at this table and I just kind of drew what was inside the restaurant. I'm just playing with some perspective and having people in the environment. I mean, I got this off, and this has some perspective issues, this front guy, but I mean, it's pretty cool. Doing this in pen, you kind of have to live with a lot of stuff you put down, but I like that about the pen because it kind of makes you just move on, because a lot of times in pencil, you have that eraser, so you want to like erase and get things perfect, but the pen, you can't do that with. These are some quick sketches. I like to do these little super fast sketches like this. It's just to see what poses I can come up with really quickly. I know some artists frown up on these type of stick man type poses or whatever, but I like them because it's a quick way to get an idea down, just the bare minimum of how the body moves, right? And then you can take these and make a pose like where you actually sit and draw it nicely from these quick poses. So I think about these as like a quick way to generate ideas or practice a pose. But here, like I was playing around with, think about baseball and holding the bat and throwing a pitch and how the body would move. So if I wanted now, since I've done this, if I wanted to like draw somebody throwing a baseball, I can come back to this book, this sketchbook, and look, and it's like, okay, if I draw them like this, it'll look like they're throwing a pitch or holding a bat, right? So just getting things down really quickly. That right there is just a quick perspective practice. Another day of just drawing. Most of these came out of my imagination. This was a real person, and that was a real person, but everything else I just kind of drew out of my head. Yeah. This quick sketch I drew of this lady. Kind of wanted to draw her like kind of crazy looking. Here I was messing with some perspective, like some fish eye perspective. Yeah, just practicing it. And then here I was at a restaurant and I was just kind of drawing, some of the people in the restaurant. I looked up and I just caught this lady, like when she was just digging in a bag when she first got her food, and I just wanted to capture that. And the cool thing about this is, when you're drawing people out of town, they might be in a position long enough for you to draw them, and they might not. So usually when I see a pose that I want to draw, I try to take a mental snapshot of it, right? So that when they move, like this is just a moment, right? She dug in that bag and she got what she needed out, and that moment was over, right? So I had to, really, think about, like, take that snapshot, that mental picture, so I could finish the drawing, right? Same thing with This was like a split second. I looked up, and one of the workers was carrying a bucket, right, to go dump out somewhere. So that's one thing that you have to think about with like when you're just randomly drawing people uh, that you see out in town. They're not gonna pose for you. They're just going through life, right? So let's quick sketch the people. Some of these are from imagination. Like I think this one and this one is kind of from imagination. Some are not. But right here, some quick perspective practice. This page. I think this page is all. Yeah, this is all imagination, or 95% imagination. Here, I started getting in some, object building practice. So I do these. I like to do them in my sketchbook. I don't know that they really flow much better when I just draw them freehand versus, trying to use rulers and all that. But one thing I do like about doing these sketchbooks is filling up the page. There's just a whole bunch of like little drawings. Some more practice on building objects. This is like sketching standing in line. So like a lot of there's something I will say. A lot of these sketches in this book is I'm standing and drawing as well, right? Because it's when I go places. So when I'm standing in line, just kind of look around and just bust out these quick sketches. So that's that. Some more sketches. I think this is some more at a restaurant. Yeah, at a restaurant. And then these I was just drawing from my imagination, and then I end up drawing this kind of butler type character or whatever. And so I just kind of kept drawing him doing different things. Kind of started there with this, didn't finish though. This is more like standing in line, drawing people, or sitting down at a restaurant, drawing people. Maybe this was a guy, getting a soda at the soda machine. Some more like drawing people. Let's see. But like I feel like doing these are really good practice because it teaches you to like really just try to capture the energy, the essence of a pose really quickly instead of trying to sit and make it perfect, right? This is another drawing. I actually did this drawing today. I was just sitting in a waiting area and I drew this. So for example, of having to finish from your imagination, right? Like, so when I drew this, I wasn't in this area but for a few minutes, right? And so I drew this person, and I started drawing this guy and this wall. That's it. Everything else I drew later after I left, and I just kind of remembered the scene, and I just filled it in from my imagination. So, but That's all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to kind of, walk through how these two sketchbooks and how I use them and what I'm thinking when I'm using them. Hopefully that kind of gave you guys maybe some insight on or some help on how to approach your next sketchbook. But that's all I have for you guys today. I will catch you on the next one. Peace.